What up, everybody? What up, everybody? What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of AC Reviews the World. I am your host, AC the Engineer, and we are at episode 64. Let's give it a round. Yep. We're at episode 64 now. Moving on up. We got a lot of things to cover. A lot of things that's happened. It is Friday, November 7th. 6 a.m. You know, early bird catches the worm, like my mom used to always say, or mama always says. Hope everybody's had a good week. It is Friday, last day of the week. So let's get into it. You know how I like to do it. I like to get right to it. Let's get right into it. The first thing we're going to cover today, the very first thing, we got to cover the UPS plane crash. So yes, 12 people. That is what the death count is up to now. 12 people has died in that UPS train crash. So let's get over into it and see what we can learn from this situation. Like always, if you disagree with anything I said, please leave a comment so we can have a discussion about it. If you have any videos you want me to review, send it to my email, acreviewstheworld@gmail.com. It's a dot after A and a dot after C. But let's get right into it, y'all. Let's get right into it. We're going to jump into the 12 people have been announced dead from the UPS plane crash. Let's get into it.
Joining us now is Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg. Mayor Greenberg, I am so sorry for the circumstances that we are here talking to get today. Thanks for being here. The investigation, I know, is still ongoing. What questions do you still need answered about what happened, and how long until we have answers?
Well, there are several questions that we still have. First and foremost, we want to be able to identify all of the victims. There are 12 bodies that we have recovered on the scene, and we want to make sure that their families know and can confirm the deaths and passing of their loved ones. They are still, tragically waiting for questions, and being with them and providing support is one thing, but ultimately they want answers. So we're hoping that with, the testing that's being done right now and identification process, they can get that rapidly. Then, of course, just like everybody, we want to know what happened and why, most importantly, so that this never happens again here in Louisville or in any other city across the country. And that's what the NTSB is doing. They have a very professional and large team that is on the ground now. I met with them yesterday. They have done over 100,000 of these investigations, and we know that they will get the answers that the entire country is looking for.
So just to make sure we understand, the 12 people who are confirmed dead and then the 9 people unaccounted for, do you believe there's some overlap there, or do you anticipate the death toll rising by perhaps 9?
Yeah, to be clear, the death toll may rise, but right now, there are 12 fatalities. We know that there were 3 members of the UPS crew. That leaves 9 unidentified victims at this time. And that seems to comport with the 9 individuals that families were looking for at our Family Assistance Center that we had set up as a place for families to go and to provide information. But again, there may be others that we either don't know are missing or that their families don't know are missing. So there may be others beyond.
That is tragic. That is probably the worst thing. Not knowing that your family member is gone. You're not even knowing that they're missing. But then you find out that they were involved in this. We got to pray for the family, pray for everything. I want to know what happened. Why did it crash? Was the pilot at fault? What happened? Was there a system malfunction? But I think we're going to get into it. Looks like we got some other videos to get into, but let's keep going into it.
Tragedy. How's the community there dealing with it?
It's hit us all very hard. UPS is a big part of our city, over 20,000 employees across the city in so many different walks of life in every neighborhood in our city. And so if we don't, we know somebody who's involved with UPS. They've been a great corporate citizen. And beyond that, even if you don't know someone directly, it is a huge tragedy to happen in your backyard. But Louisville has been through tragedies before, and we come together with strength and resilience, supporting one another. And that's what we will do here as well. There's a vigil tonight that I'll be attending, and that's the beginning of the healing process where we can support one another in these challenging times to move forward.
I mean, as we look at some of this footage of the flames and the impact zone, the whole area around the crash site was heavily impacted. What are you most concerned about with the recovery process?
Yeah, so Governor Beshear and Congressman McGarvey and I had an opportunity to tour that yesterday, and it was unlike anything I've seen even in movies. A half-mile long of charred, mangled metal, debris everywhere. Still, there were some fires at the time when we were on the site, really unlike anything you've ever even dreamt of before. And to know that there were bodies that were still there and that there are families looking for answers. There are a lot of businesses in this area. Fortunately, it was not a residential area. It was more of an industrial area, so it was not densely populated. It could have been much worse. We want businesses to be able to get back to their places of business, to make sure that their property and everyone they have is accounted for, and ultimately get back to resume operations. But of course, public safety has to come first. And so that will be our priority, making sure that people can get there, making sure there are power lines everywhere. And so we need to make sure as we turn back on power, no one is put at risk. So those are the sorts of things that our emergency crews are focused on today.
He is 100% correct. It could have been worse, much worse. The plane fell into an area that was mostly warehouses and businesses. But no matter how worse it is, still people have lost their lives. Still people have lost their lives. Let's keep going.
Wow, a half mile long. It sounds like it's going to be a lengthy recovery process. And you point out what's most important right now is those families that may have lost loved ones. Mayor Craig Greenberg, thank you very much for being with us and bringing us that update.
Absolutely crazy. Let's go over into this next video. We got three videos in total, so let's go over to the second one.
NTSB investigators are tonight examining new dash cam video that captured the fully engulfed MD-11 cargo plane climbing to 475 feet before crashing into several businesses. As witnesses,
you see, he took off. We got to back that up. We have to back that up.
NTSB investigators are tonight examining new dash cam video that captured the fully engulfed MD-11 cargo plane climbing to 475 feet before crashing into several businesses as witnesses ran for their lives. Sean Garber owns Grade A Auto Parts.
All of those folks, plus everyone else that showed up to work Tuesday morning, expected to go home. And they didn't, and that's not how it's supposed to be.
Tonight, the governor says a 13th victim has died, as UPS says it's with great sadness that it shares the names of the 3 pilots who died. Captain Richard Wartenberg, First Officer Lee Truitt, and International Relief Officer Captain Dana Diamond. 9 people are still missing.
There's so much charred, mangled metal that not all of the bodies may have been located until you look underneath certain things.
The National Guard today testing air quality levels at the crash site. Technicians in Washington have downloaded the plane's charred black boxes, revealing 63 hours of data, including 23 previous flights and 2 hours of cockpit conversations.
We will do everything we need to find out what happened and to figure out how to keep it from happening again.
A key focus, the left side engine found between runways and the pylon that held it in place. Video captured it coming off the wing, then the fire. Investigators are looking at the 34-year-old UPS plane's 6-week maintenance work in San Antonio. An FAA report shows the inspection found corrosion in the center bilge area below the fuel tank and a center wing upper fuel tank lower crack requiring a repair. Cracks and corrosion are common in heavy plane maintenance.
All right, Tom, let's pick it up there.
Let's back it up a tad bit. So they said they found corrosion in the center bridge area, and then they also found
center wing upper fuel tank.
Let's go. Center wing upper fuel tank lower stringer 41 cracks. So did they need to get that fixed before they could take off?
Lower crack requiring a repair. Cracks and corrosion are common in heavy plane maintenance.
All right, Tom, let's pick it up there. You're live tonight at the Louisville airport. UPS has a number of these planes we're talking about here in its fleet. Will they be reinspected?
Yeah. At this point, no, and some UPS pilots have told me they're not comfortable flying this plane if it hasn't been inspected. That said, the NTSB says if it uncovers any evidence of a fleet-wide problem, they will raise the red flag and urge that kind of action worldwide. So far, it doesn't seem that's coming. Tom?
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay up.
Absolutely crazy, absolutely crazy. Now we're going to get over into this next video that breaks down a little bit more about the problems, about the engine coming off. So let's get into it.
This morning, stunning new footage appears to show the engine missing on the UPS cargo plane just as it crashes in Louisville, Kentucky. The plane is coming down, and you see the left engine is already gone. NTSB investigators say it detached during takeoff. That engine later found on the runway. The crash killed at least 12 people. It destroyed multiple businesses. We've also learned the plane left behind a debris field about a half-mile long that includes nearly 300-foot long gash on the roof of a UPS warehouse. Let's go to CNN's Lee Waldman. She's in Louisville this morning. Lee, obviously investigators are now on site trying to get all of the details. What are you learning?
Jessica, like you mentioned, they got on site here yesterday, so today will be their first full day conducting that step-by-step walkthrough of this massive debris field that's left behind from this devastating crash here. We know at this point they have recovered the black boxes from those planes. NTSB telling us that the boxes did suffer heat, but they're built to withstand that. They can still gather data from it. They're also asking people who live around here, who have surveillance cameras, to share those videos with them, calling those valuable assets. It's something they're going to be analyzing to try and determine a probable cause of what went wrong here. And we mentioned that video of what appears to show the engine off of that plane. The NTSB confirming that. And last night, as we were here, we saw part of that engine actually being hauled away on the back of a truck here. It's all part of this extensive investigative process that the NTSB is going through here. We're hoping to hear more from them today about this ongoing investigation, but there's also a very real impact to the community here. Businesses surrounding the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport, including a business that had a lot of damage to it itself. The owner of that company, a recycling company, saying it was like hell's fury here after that plane crashed. Take a listen to some of the heroics by his employees that he described to our Isabel Rosales.
One of our managers dove in the center of between two bales and had a ball of fire go over the top of him, and then he got up and ran out, and he was very heroic because one of our customers was 95% burned, and he picked him up and brought him to safety.
Wow.
We've heard from hospital officials who say they have 2 people currently being treated for critical injuries because of burns. They've treated other people for blast injuries as a result of this crash. 12 people are dead as a result of it. They fear that number is going to continue to rise. And Jessica,
So as we know, they've already confirmed that it's 13 now. So let's get into it.
something so heartbreaking here is that one of those victims is believed to be a young child.
Oh.
Yeah, that is truly terrible. All right, Lee Waldman for us with the latest out of Louisville. Thank you.
Mary, you're a former Inspector General of the U.S. Transportation Department. You know, for a layman, if I can call myself that, the idea of an engine falling off a wing is absolutely frightening, and the fact that they're looking at maintenance in relation to that. But he did earlier on, didn't he, this guy from the NTSB, talk about a fire on the wing and then the engine fell off. So could a fire have triggered the engine to fall off, or was it the engine falling off that was the problem?
Well, I think the engine falling off is always a problem. You know, it's I don't mean to be frightening people, but you know, engines do catch fire in flight. They have fire bottles on them, you know, and often they're able to extinguish the fire when the plane is in flight and there's a fire in the engine. Here, I think he pretty much confirmed that that engine fell off in the takeoff roll, and that is a rare event. Now, there have been accidents, and the NTSB will do this. The NTSB will go back through history at other accidents where this has occurred. One happened back in the late 70s.
Pause a little second. So that is the engine that fell off, didn't even make it off the runway. It fell off. It didn't even make it past the runway. Absolutely crazy. Let's keep going.
It was about 1979. And in that case, the plane had come out of maintenance and they had taken the engines off the plane for maintenance, but they had not followed the manufacturer's guidance and rules and the procedures to do that. The pins that held the engine on were damaged. And just like here, the engine fell off on takeoff. And so they will go back and look at those prior incidents that happened to be a DC-10. This is an MD-11, a similar plane, but newer, more recent in manufacture, but they will do that. So it is an important confirmation that video showed that this engine came off and that they have a pretty big team, 28 already, and they will be adding more, but one of those teams is maintenance. So already, since an engine did come off, you always have to look at maintenance. I mean, it's just a big issue because it is rare, much rarer than engine fires.
And can you explain, we're looking at these images, a half a mile long streak of fire. This is the evidence they're having to deal with now, which is why there's so, it's just extraordinary. Why so much fire? Because the engine, it was full of fuel?
Yes, 38,000 gallons of fuel, weighs over 300,000 pounds, and that is a lot of fuel. And once this, it appears when the engine came off that the wing tank in the wing, where underneath near the engine, was breached, and that means that spewing fuel and fire as it travels down. And the NTSB did mention that there was a string of parts even before the big fireball. So this plane, this engine for sure was coming apart. And then once that wing tank is breached,
wow,
you're literally spewing fire and fuel. And it's that is a lot of fuel. 38,000, some people say 36,000 gallons of fuel, 300,000 pounds of burning fuel. I mean, it's in some ways, it's almost lucky that it wasn't more than a half a mile. When I saw the first pictures, it looked, huge, longer than half a mile. But remember, the NTSB is used to dealing with huge debris fields. They've scoured the ocean floor. TW-800 blew up in flight, and they scoured the Atlantic Ocean. The other investigators, not the U.S., but others scoured the South Indian Ocean. They walked miles and miles through Scotland fields looking for parts of Pan Am 103. They are used to this. And by the way, there's great computer programs and AI that help you log every part, every little piece that you find. You can log it right on the spot when you do it. So they
absolutely crazy. I think we got the gist of everything that's happening right now. So just to backtrack so we understand everything, 13 people have died. Half mile of burnt pieces of just the fuel that left a scorch mark. Half mile. And the engine for one of the sides fell off before it even got past the runway. It got up to around 400 feet, over 400 feet, and then came crashing down. Ended up killing 13 people. And the death toll is possible that it will rise. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy, y'all. Let me know your thoughts on that whole situation. I wonder now we got to remember that they said that it was just got through some maintenance. And when the maintenance, they pointed out there was different corrosion and there was cracks, but they said it's normal to have cracks. But was that the cause? And they don't know if they're going to go back and check all the other fleets. But some pilots are worried that they don't want to fly if they don't go back through inspection again. Absolutely crazy. It could have been a lot worse, but we got to remember, we still got to pray for all the people who lost their lives, their family who's going to have to deal with some horrible things, and the people who just might not even know yet that their family member is dead. Absolutely crazy, y'all. Let me know your thoughts on that whole situation. But we got to pivot go over to the Bronx. We got to go to the Bronx. It looks like that the UPS plane is not the only awful thing that happened We got 7 firefighters that was injured in a Bronx car explosion. So we got 3 videos to look at. So we're going to get over into that and see what we can learn from this situation. Absolutely crazy. Let's get over into it. See what we can find out. Let's jump into it.
Fireball in the Bronx, the search for the cause of the flames that sparked an explosion that left firefighters badly burned. We are following that breaking news right now at 11 o'clock. We thank you for joining us. I'm Natalie Pascarella.
And I'm David Ushery. The fire that burned through several cars is finally out on Westchester Avenue in Longwood, but the damage is done. 7 New York City firefighters hurt, 5 of them burned. News 4's Chris Jose is at the scene where those first responders ended up needing rescuing themselves, Chris.
Right, David. Both paramedics and police officers rushed those injured firefighters to the hospital tonight. In the last hour, the FDNY hauled away the fire truck that was heavily damaged in this explosion. Take a look back here. You can see where this all happened near Westchester Avenue. Those are the vehicles that caught fire. You can see one of them burned beyond recognition. The car reduced to a black and gray metal shell. A neighbor sharing this video with News 4 showing the flames engulfing the 2 vehicles. The FDNY says it started as a garbage fire, spread to a car, and as firefighters were putting it out, the car exploded, injuring 7 firefighters. 5 have burns to the hands and face, says the FDNY. The burns are serious but not life-threatening. The blast rocking Westchester Avenue near Fox Street just after 7 p.m. Neighbors telling us a fireball lit up the entire block.
Okay, so they said it started from a garbage fire, then spread to a car. I wonder, was it intentionally set or was it an accidental lighting for some reason? Somebody threw in a cigarette butt or something like that. Or was it intentionally set? Absolutely crazy. Let's keep going.
Before you know it, it was a big explosion that the firemen had to run. Okay. And I think some of them had to go to the ER.
I was just telling the chief that I'll be worried until they're all home, but we do expect that they will recover from their injuries. A wall of fire came on them and surrounded them, and what they were concerned about is their colleagues and their families. And there is a reason why I refer to you folks as New York's bravest.
And the fire chief telling us tonight the 7 firefighters are alert at the hospital. They are speaking. The cause of the fire under investigation. We're live in the Longwood section tonight. Chris Jose, News 4 New York.
Now let's pivot over into the next video. We'll most likely get into an article. Let's get into it.
4 firefighters recovering right now. They're injured while battling a fire in Newark this morning. Officials say the fire started around 3:30 at a vacant home on Cypress Street. Now, while putting out the flames, a chimney fell on top of the firefighters. They're all now in stable condition. The cause of that blaze is under investigation.
What?
Well, at least 7 firefighters are still recovering after a car explosion and raging fire in the Longwood section of the Bronx. And now we're learning more about how a trash fire spiraled into pure chaos. Our Nicole Johnson obtained new surveillance video that shows what could have caused the fire.
This new surveillance video shows a man flicking what appears to be a cigarette or cigar into a pile of trash. Seconds later, you see a man trying to put out a small trash fire, but apparently he's unsuccessful. Minutes later, flames take over the same pile of trash. Then
what did I say? What did I say? A cigarette. He flicked his cigar, and it spiraled out of control, and 7 firefighters are injured. Absolutely correct.
The flames spread to a parked car, then a parked van. The flames are fueled by the heavy wind, and in no time, a massive explosion lit up the block and the sky Wednesday night. Neighbors who live in this building here on Fox Street pulled out their cell phones in disbelief.
I think it's pretty sad on how something so minor could be something so catastrophic.
The super of the building, Brian Rivera, tells Pix 11 News he thinks it was more than just an accident.
I still kind of find it strange strange on how a simple trash fire could engulf the car and the car blows up. Something had to be there to make the fire be engulfed that fast.
7 firefighters were hurt battling the fire. 5 of them had serious burns to their hands and face, but all of them are expected to be okay.
Serious burns, but non-life-threatening. 3 of them are being admitted here, and we do expect them all to fully recover.
At the scene Thursday afternoon, the charred vehicle and burnt-out van, a reminder of just how serious and devastating. Rivera says nothing stays small for long when trash meets a flame. He knows the woman who lost her car.
And if I'm thinking the right tenant, it's sad because I know she just had a baby maybe about a year ago. So having, I think, maybe 6, 7, 8-year-old, and then like an infant on top of such, now you have no mode of transportation. Yeah, it hurts.
In the Longwood section of the Bronx, Nicole Johnson, Pix 11 News.
In already hard times, we all going through hard times. This is icing on the cake. Icing on the cake. Just had a baby a year ago. You need your car. Someone throwing a cigarette, and then your whole car is gone. Absolutely tragic. Luckily, no one lost their lives. The firefighters are heroes. They rush to fire, risking their lives. Some get hurt, but luckily no one has died. I wonder if they're gonna charge the dude who threw the cigar. I don't know anything about those kind of charges. Let me know if you know anything. That is absolutely crazy. Let's get over into this last video and see what else we can learn. This is more about from the police chief, or the firefighter chief.
This is breaking news.
We all set? All right. So shortly after 7 o'clock tonight in the Bronx, we were receiving phone calls for a fire at various intersections at Fox and Westchester, Fox and 165. The eventual address was 955 Westchester Avenue. Our units arrived to a fire in some outside rubbish and some cars. Shortly after we arrived and started to operate, there was some sort of explosion on the scene. Injured 7 firefighters, 5 of them with burns to the hands and the face. 3 of them are being admitted. The burns are considered serious but not life-threatening. The members, our firefighters, are awake, alert, and speaking. But they have some serious burns, and we'll be obviously praying for them. Quick action by our emergency medical service. They were transported here to Jacoby, and great work by our Jacoby Hospital emergency folks and in the trauma and burn center, praying and hoping that our firefighters are going to be okay. So I'll pass it to Dr. Tepperman from Jacoby.
Thank you, Chief Esposito. The firefighters we expect will all recover. I was just telling the chief that I'll be worried until they're all home, but we do expect that they will recover from their injuries.
That's good.
I would say one thing though, Chief. I was talking to each of your members. You know, a wall of fire came on them and surrounded them, and what they were concerned about is their colleagues and their families. And there is a reason why I refer to you folks as New York's bravest. Thank you. Would you say spell your name, please? Yeah, it's Tepperman, Tepperman. First name? Sheldon.
And you want to talk to questions?
Sir, I just got here at Fox 5. We're just going live outside. Can you give us a breakdown of what exactly happened here?
So we arrived at a fire in front of 955.
So he's basically just going back over everything. So what we know of what has happened so far. Tragic situation, but it looks like it started from a garbage fire that surveillance footage has, showing someone throwing a cigarette or cigar into the garbage can. That garbage can then caught on fire, which spread to the car, which exploded. That explosion caused 7 firefighters to get serious burns on the hands and face, or 5 to get serious burns on their hands and face, 2 others to get seriously injured as well, or injured. but it's non-life threatening. Now, I'll have a question. Is the person who threw the cigarette going to be charged? Is there anything that they can charge him with? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But absolutely crazy. Luckily, like I said, no one has died from this. No one has died from this. It's a crazy situation. Let me know your thoughts on that. Let me know what you think about that situation. Do you think that the person who threw the cigarette should be charged in some way? I'm assuming they should. Some kind of, I don't know what kind of charge that would be, though. I have to do some research on it, but we will keep up with this to see if we can find out if they get charged or if they name the person who did it. If they can find out who did it. Most likely they can, but we'll have to wait and see. We will have to wait and see. Absolutely crazy, y'all. Like I said, let me know if you're any thoughts on that situation. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. But we got to stay in the Bronx. We got to stay in the Bronx. It looks like there was 4 dead in a murder-suicide in Castle Hill in the Bronx. Castle Hill, Bronx. So let's get over into it and see what we can learn from this situation. 4 dead in a murder-suicide. I've said this before. I understand times is hard, and maybe you could feel like that life would be, they can't live life without you, but wanting to kill them and then kill yourselves, murder in general is awful. Suicide is awful. Talk to somebody if you need help. Absolutely crazy. Or maybe it could have been they were planning to kill him in the first place and they didn't want to face the consequences. We don't know exactly what happened, but hopefully we'll learn something. We got 3 videos to look at, so let's get over into it and see what we can learn from this situation. Absolutely tragic, absolutely tragic. But let's get into it. Let's get into it.
We begin with 4 people found dead in the Bronx, and officials say it looks like a triple murder-suicide. Crystal Cranmore on the scene. Crystal.
Good afternoon. We're actually on Lacombe Avenue in front of the Castle Hill houses. We believe this discovery was made on the 5th floor of the apartment. I actually just took an elevator up there moments ago, and there's a heavy police presence behind me, very quiet at this point. But again, like I mentioned, heavy police presence on the 5th floor. We understand this discovery of 4 adults dead inside of an apartment here again at the Castle Hill houses on Lacombe Avenue. The discovery apparently taking place around 9:45 this morning, and police are calling it at this point, they believe, a triple murder-suicide. Now, I actually just seconds ago spoke with a woman who lives in one of the buildings here at the Castle Hill houses, and she says that she knows one of the people found dead inside the home, a very dear friend of hers, a close friend of hers, and so she is just devastated at this point. But again, is all very much under investigation at this point. Still so many questions that need to be answered. But again, police at this point saying that it's a possible triple murder-suicide. That is the very latest here in the Bronx. Crystal Cranmore, Channel 7.
So let's get over into this next video. Absolutely crazy. Let's get into it.
But first, we have breaking news. 4 people dead after an apparent triple murder-suicide in the Bronx. The suspected killer also leaving a chilling voicemail to his son shortly before the killings.
Eyewitness News reporter Crystal Cranmore is live at the scene in the Castle Hill section with much more on this tragedy. Crystal.
Good afternoon, Liz and David. Well, people are definitely heartbroken this afternoon. From what we're gathering, the 44-year-old man suspected of killing his 75-year-old mother, his daughter, and his daughter's boyfriend had apparently left cryptic messages, as you mentioned, to his son and to other people in the moments leading up to this very sad discovery this morning. But police are still inside the Castle Hill houses here in the Castle Hill section of the Bronx as loved ones are toward the back of the building, just remembering the victims that were lost. Police responded to the Castle Hill houses on Lacombe Avenue in the Castle Hill section around 9:45 this morning. They were called out to do a wellness check after the suspect called his 20-year-old son in North Carolina early this morning and left a message saying, quote, "check on your family." police say inside the apartment they found the suspect's 75-year-old mother, his 26-year-old daughter, and her boyfriend, also believed to be in his 20s. All were pronounced dead at the scene from apparent gunshot wounds. The suspect is believed to have suffered a self-inflicted gunshot wound as well. Now, neighbors say the 75-year-old woman was well liked in the community.
Absolutely crazy. They said that he left a message to his son saying, check on your family. And he killed his mother, his daughter, and her boyfriend. I want to know what was going through his mind. Why did he do it? There's a lot of questions. A lot of questions. Well, hopefully we'll get some answers. Let's keep going.
She's a nice lady. I was the party animal in here before I got old and sick. Every day, all came to my parties. We hang out on a daily basis in the summer over there on the bench. Nice lady, big heart.
She was a very wonderful person. She was a very wonderful person. When I heard the news, I was in shock. I started crying.
Now, police are investigating this as a triple murder-suicide. They were able, according to investigators, recover a gun inside the home. Coming up at 5, we'll hear from a loved one, a relative actually, who, again, there's just so many questions that are left unanswered. At last check, they were still trying to get into that 5th floor apartment just to get answers themselves. But coming up at 5, we'll hear more from them.
Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Let's go over to another news reporter to see if we can learn any more details about this. This is an absolutely crazy situation.
The Bronx, where police are investigating what appears to be a murder-suicide involving 4 people inside a public housing development.
Yeah, our Jay Dow is at the scene in Castle Hill section of the Bronx with the very latest.
I know them for more than 40 years.
A distraught Ramona Mendez speaking Wednesday afternoon about her dear friend and neighbor.
Cannot believe it. She was a friend of mine. Everybody knew her in Castle Hill. Everybody.
That friend, also a senior who lived in the same Castle Hill public housing development in the Bronx. During a wellness check on her friend, police discovered a grisly scene. 4 bodies found inside her apartment. The result, law enforcement sources say, of a murder-suicide. Sources going on to say the older woman who lives in that apartment was murdered by her own 44-year-old son. Before he apparently took his own life, that son is accused of also killing his own 26-year-old daughter and his daughter's boyfriend. Sources add the son was seen on video leaving his mother's apartment to make a phone call early Wednesday morning before going back inside about 15 minutes later. He did not come back out. His body found Wednesday on the couch with a gun in his hand.
Oh my God.
Wow. You know, I'm not gonna stop it too much. So something happened to, at least that's my initial thinking. We got to wait for more information to come out, but something happened to where he goes out, calls his son, tells him, yeah, check on your family. He goes back in the house and commits this horrible atrocity, killing 3 people before finally sitting on the couch and killing himself. Most likely, this is my thinking, most likely he didn't want to face the consequences. I don't think he was suicidal or anything like that, but we don't know. We won't know until more information comes out, but most likely he just didn't want to face the consequences of his actions. So he said instead of being in jail for the rest of his life, he'd rather just take his own life. But we got to wait for more information to come out. That is just my initial thinking. Let's keep going.
That's her son. I know him too.
News of this tragedy spreading quickly among other residents.
Just seen it yesterday. She seemed fine. Her son told somebody in the building he went upstairs to see a friend of his and she was on her way to work. He told him, he said, okay, I'm sorry we couldn't get together. I'll see you in the next life.
The exact circumstances still unclear, but sources...
Back again? Hold on, we got to back that up.
He was on her way to work. He told him, he said, okay, I'm sorry we couldn't get together. I'll see you in the next life.
The exact circumstances still unclear.
Sorry we couldn't get together. I'll see you in the next life.
But sources going on to say the 44-year-old son, allegedly responsible for killing 3 of his relatives, did have an open gun case and, according to Ms. Mendez, a sometimes rocky relationship with his mother.
He was in jail before.
Did you ever know him to have mental issues or emotional problems?
I mean, I know that he used to use his, his drugs and all that. She didn't want him in the house because he was,
There is so much that we don't know about this case. The names of the victims, we have them, but we're not releasing them because they haven't been officially released by the police department. And if just standing here on the sidewalk, I'm listening to people, everyone talking about the oldest victim, described by Ms. Mendez as the mayor of the Castle Hill houses. Everyone knew her. So many people distraught this evening. We are live in the Bronx. Jay Dow, Pix 11 News.
Absolutely crazy scene, but that is what happened. Let's give a recap. I like to give a recap. So for some reason, the 44-year-old son came outside after some kind of incident, maybe came outside, called his son in North Carolina, told him, yeah, check on your family. Cryptic message, hung up. I don't know if he left him a voicemail or called him. Went back in the house and ended up killing his mother, his daughter, and her boyfriend before sitting on the couch and killing himself. Now, I don't know if he was suicidal or not, but my thinking is that he just didn't want to face the consequences. But I could be wrong. We got to wait for more information to come out. They said that he might have been using drugs at some point. His mother didn't want him in the house. It's a lot of questions, but absolutely crazy. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. It's a crazy world we live in, y'all. We got to review the world together. We have to review the world together. Absolutely crazy. But that is what is happening. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Wow. But we got to pivot. We're going to pivot over into, it looks like a man has woken up from a coma, and the first thing he does is blame his girlfriend and said that she wanted him dead. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. But we got 2 videos to look at, and we'll get into an article because these are shorter videos. But why did she want him dead? What was happening in their relationship? We might not get those answers, but let's get into this news report and see what we can find out. It's a crazy world. Let's get into it. We got one news report to get over into, but let's get into it and see what we can find out from this situation. We'll get into an article after that. Let's get into it. Yep, let's jump into it, y'all.
It was a horrible car crash with a couple trapped in the wreckage. Cops investigated it as an accident until the boyfriend woke up in the hospital, and what they say he told them is shocking, accusing his girlfriend of intentionally crashing their car in a jealous rage. Wes Trent has the details.
A young couple has been in a horrible car accident. Police say this Honda was going 95 miles an hour before it slammed into a thicket of mangrove trees. 24-year-old Leah Mumby is screaming for help. She believes her boyfriend, 22-year-old Daniel Waterman, is dead.
Daniel, wake up, please! Daniel, wake up!
Now she's going through it, but it sounds. You remember what we got to remember what they first said. They said that she got into a jealous rage. So we all know we all have an idea of what happened. So talking to another, something happened and made her think that he was either cheating, something like that. That's what I immediately think of. It could be wrong, and she might grab the wheel. We don't know what happened. Grabs the wheel. Absolutely tragic. Let's keep going.
Leah is not aware that Daniel's iPhone has automatically called 911.
The owner of this iPhone was in a severe car crash and is not responding to their phone.
Daniel took the brunt of the crash sitting in the passenger seat, suffering a broken neck and back.
So she, oh my God. So I thought he was driving. No. So she was probably going fast, angry. Wow.
Doctors put him in a medically induced coma. At first, police thought it was a tragic accident. But then, in a moment straight out of a movie, when Daniel Waterman woke from the coma, he told them it was not an accident. He couldn't speak, but with the help of a special letterboard, he slowly printed out a tale that has heads spinning. His girlfriend, he wrote, tried to kill him. He communicated that Leah had just told him she was pregnant. He said she was also jealous about texts he'd received from another woman.
What did I say? What did I say? She's jealous because he was talking to another girl and she's pregnant at the time. Emotions. She probably ain't driving fast. Mad. Wow. Let's keep
Then
going.
he literally spelled out for them that Leah drove off the highway and slammed into the trees on purpose. I don't care what happens, you'll get what you deserve, he quoted her as saying. After 8 months of battling to stay alive, Daniel died. I spoke to his mother and aunt.
It was something that was so heartbreaking as a mom. It's like, how could someone do this to my son?
Leah Mumby was arrested as she arrived at the hospital to visit Daniel. The charge, vehicular homicide.
There's no doubt in my mind that it was anything but an intentional accident.
Leah Mumby has pleaded not guilty to vehicular homicide. She reportedly told cops she didn't remember anything leading up to that crash.
Absolutely. Let's back. We got to look at her. Where is she at? Right here. They arrested her. So you mean to tell me, like what? Well, it's what we thought. It's what we thought. She was jealous. She was jealous of something happening. She's pregnant, emotional. And for some reason, she said, yeah, I'm going to kill you and kill me. Kill us both. Kill us both. Now she's arrested. Good. Absolutely crazy. Over some text messages. Be careful, fellas. Be careful who you talk to. You got to be careful who you have a baby with. Some women are unstable. Absolutely crazy. Now, let's see if we can find an article about this. Because it's a crazy situation. How many of y'all have dealt with a girlfriend who went wild in the car for some jealous reason? Now, let's get over into an article and see what we can find out about this. Most recent one we can find. So from, let's see. Yeah, let's get into this one. So let's jump over into it. Let me share my screen, zoom in some so we can all see everything. So absolutely tragic. So a Florida man accused his pregnant wife, also it was his wife, of purposely causing a violent car crash that sent him into a coma before he tragically succumbed to his injuries, authorities say. Daniel Waterman, 24, of New York, claimed his girlfriend. Why they say wife and girlfriend? So his girlfriend, Leah Mumby, 22, said, "I don't care what happens. You'll get what you deserve," moments before she started driving recklessly along Interstate 95 in Florida. The couple were reportedly in the middle of an argument the night of the Super Bowl last February, according to the court papers. Waterman recalled that his girlfriend eventually caused the car to roll into a tree, causing severe injuries to both Waterman and herself. According to the victim's mother, who spoke with the news place, the father-to-be slipped into a coma but recovered just enough to make claims against his significant other. Man wakes up just to tell that his girlfriend tried to kill him. According to the affidavit first obtained by People, Waterman spoke to investigators through a whiteboard in May. He told police the two began bickering about her discovering that she was discovered that she was pregnant. Additionally, he said that she was angry that a woman in New York had texted him. Waterman, the now deceased victim's mom, revealed the text was from a friend who was a fan of, oh my God, which were set to face off against her son's favorite team, the Kansas Chiefs. So he wasn't even cheating. Oh, wow. The argument allegedly led Mumby to ram the car into a tree. According to court documents, the 22-year-old endured severe injuries but ultimately survived. She told investigators that she didn't know what had led to the accident, so she lied. The couple's unborn child survived in the crash as well and has since been born. The condition of the father to be improved significantly enough for where he was moved from Florida to the Upstate University Hospital to continue treatment in July, but tragically died of pneumonia on October 8th. He never gave up. His mother told the outlets the whole entire time he literally never gave up. Police said that they charged the victim's girlfriend with reckless driving, causing serious bodily injury, and aggravated battery with a deadly weapon in July, before slamming her with a vehicular homicide following the 24-year-old's death. The deceased family said that they will fight for custody of the child. Heather Waterman said that she would prove her late son is the father of the suspected child and eventually bring them to New York. We'll do whatever we can to bring her to us, she told the news article. He wanted to raise her in New York with his family. Absolutely crazy. That's an absolutely crazy situation. Let me know your thoughts on that. He wasn't even cheating. She got mad over her text messages because a girl texted him. And the whole thing was about some football. Come on, man. And she got mad while she was driving, pregnant, hysterical, and then said, you know what? You're going to get what you deserve. And she slams her car into a tree. Be careful who you decide to who you decide to have a baby with. Be careful who you decide to spend the rest of your life with. All this because she was pregnant. It might even mostly because a girl texted him. Not even something sexual. A girl texted him. Absolutely crazy, y'all. Let me know your thoughts on that situation. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. It's a crazy world, y'all. You got to be careful who you choose to be with in this life. Because it could be your last moments. It could be the worst decision you ever make in your life. Absolutely crazy, y'all. Let me know your thoughts on that situation. Like I said, let me know if you disagree with anything I said. If you disagree with anything I said. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Now, we're going to pivot. We're going to pivot over into, we got to go over into, it looks like, let's get over into Melodee Buzzard. We're going to get over into Melodee. I feel like I'm never saying that name right. So we got Melodee Buzzard's updates. So if you remember, this is the missing girl who was last seen with her mother at a rental car place. So we got a lot of new updates we got to get to. New footage. And then we got family asking for help. The family of the victim. So let's get over into it and see what we can learn from this situation. It's a crazy situation. But let's get over into it. Let's jump into it, y'all.
Office near their Lompoc, California home on October the 7th. That's the day they embarked on a highly mysterious road trip to Nebraska. We've seen a picture of young Melodee from that visit, but now the aperture has widened. And we can see her mom, Ashley, too. And now it's obvious why police were saying it seems like the child was wearing a wig because mom was known to wear wigs. And this particular photograph proves that. Police are now also confirming that Melodee, the child, was seen alive as late as October the 9th. 2 days after that picture that you just saw. That's when Ashley was making her way back from Nebraska to Southern California. They say surveillance video places the child near the Colorado-Utah border. After that, they say Ashley drove through and made stops in Green River, Utah, Panguitch, Utah, St. George, Utah, a tiny corner northwest Arizona, Prim, Nevada, and Rancho Cucamonga, California. All of the stops on your screen were on or about October the 9th. On the 10th, they say Ashley returned home to Lompoc all alone. Police are asking anyone who may have spotted Ashley's rented white 2024 Chevy Malibu in any of these places to call them. And speaking of that white Malibu that they are referencing, we're now learning Ashley switched license plates while she was en route in that car. Police say the car was spotted October 8th with a New York license plate that did not belong to the rental company nor to Ashley. When she turned that rental car back in, the original California plate had been reaffixed to that car. Nothing suspicious about that, am I right? Yeah. Joining me now to sort out all of this is retired FBI agent Jennifer Koffendorfer. So the most important part of all of the revelations today, the video, the license plates, the wig, all of it, what's your read?
The most important thing is we have a whole new date where now we know she was alive, and that was on the 9th. That is huge information. But I think on top of that, Ashley, look at the fact that they said she was on camera on the Utah border, but yet they have all those other destinations and cities that were far west of there, yet no camera footage of her. That is so concerning. It makes me think she didn't make it far past that point that she's last seen.
So the October 9th sighting, I'm confused as to why the police are only telling us that now. If they're looking for people and extra eyeballs to get on this story and give them tips, why are they just telling these things to us now?
Well, Ashley, I'm wondering when this information came to them, when they first were able to discern that she was on that camera. This is a situation of true gumshoe FBI agent work. You have AO leads, which are auxiliary office leads that are put out to all these different areas, and these agents have to go to these particular locations and pull camera footage. Then they have to download it. Then they have to sit there and meticulously watch it. And that's how they're getting the footage like the one they referred to. So maybe this is a little fresher than we think.
So talk to me about that route, the map that we put up, and the fact that the police are now telling us they're searching 4 different states.
Absolute crazy. The first thing I want to say is that the mother was still out last time I heard, because they wanted to see if they would lead them to her. But there's so much suspicious activity, switching license plates, traveling around and coming back alone. And she's not cooperating with the police. Something sounds like something went wrong. She did something awful, but we won't know until we get the actual report from the police. Let's keep going though.
How exactly does this work, especially if the FBI is taking lead?
So the headquarters of the FBI for this case is out of Los Angeles. There's an RA in San Maria. I believe that's the RA that would handle this case. They are responsible for putting out what we call leads to all of these other offices that are throughout this 4-state region. From there, a lead lands on your desk, and this is going to be a priority lead as opposed to routine, and you're going to go out and cover that lead. In other words, look at that location where they know that they have been.
So when you say look in the location, those states are all big. Do they just sort of hit everything along the highway, or how do they actually tackle this?
Well, first of all, I think there's very pointed information that's from that GPS in that Malibu, possibly also if she had a cell phone, and certainly from her credit card. We know she had a credit card to rent that. So I think they're also working on that credit card information to track. And so those agents are going to be pointedly go to those locations along that route to try to pull information such as the video surveillance from those locations.
Thank you. Makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. They got to go through the different places of the GPS, the phone GPS, the credit cards. They're going to go to all those locations, look at security footage, scour through them, and see if they can track her locations. Where was Melodee truly last seen? Absolutely crazy. Let's get over into this next video.
So what has this mom been up to since returning home to California alone? She ain't moving heaven and earth to get her little girl back, I'll tell you that. But she may be thinking of moving because yesterday, according to a neighbor, Ashley had what looked like moving boxes delivered to her home. And she appeared to have changed her hair as well, or her wig once again. Let me just show you the video that we can play for you that was shot right next door of Ashley, weirdly with her purse slung on her shoulder and her boots on, although not leaving the property. Take a look at this. Yeah, nothing suspicious there. Moving boxes. For a woman who just, last week was hauled out of that house and taken with what looked like detectives, plainclothes detectives with sidearms in their gun holsters, got her into a vehicle and drove off with her to a quote-unquote alternate location right before police and FBI raided her home for hours, and a storage locker, and also searched the rental car that she'd been using. You may recall late last week, this happened in Lompoc, California, right? And they did those searches, but then weirdly, she returned. That part was a head scratcher to me. That alternate location after the storage locker and all the rest, no, she was allowed to return. And after that, the neighbor says that Ashley did not venture out of the house for 72 hours. But on Sunday...
Sounds like that they couldn't find any information to hold her. That's what it sounds like to me. Let's keep going. Back it up, tab.
72 hours. But on Sunday, she went somewhere in an Uber, apparently for about 2 hours, according to the neighbor. And on Monday, a sheriff's deputy was back and knocking on her door and said they, quote, had something to give her, end quote. But Ashley Buzzard, keeping in constant, behavior, refused to answer the door. So I know what you're thinking, and no, police and the feds aren't just relying on neighbors for intelligence. What's believed to be plain-clothed officers or agents are parked outside of Ashley's house round the clock. As for your other question, why Ashley Buzzard hasn't been hauled in and charged with something, anything, I wish I knew the answer to that, but...
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below. Absolutely crazy. It's most likely, like we've talked about it before, that they want to try to see if that they lead her to somewhere, and they most likely ain't got nothing to charge her with. There's no body. There's no evidence of anything happening to Melodee. But I don't know if that, can you charge them with not knowing where their daughter is, or I don't know if she not cooperating and telling them where she is. But this absolutely crazy story. Let's get over into the last one where the family is actually asking for help. So let's get over into it.
Well, where is Melodee? It's the question the FBI and Santa Barbara Sheriff's Office have been trying to answer since 9-year-old Melodee Buzzard vanished in early October.
New security footage appears to show the young girl and her mom as they began a cross-country road trip. CBS LA's Hunter Sowards joins us now. She's been speaking to the family of the missing girl about their hope for bringing Melodee home safe.
I mean, as you can imagine, this family just on desperate edge, wanting those answers. And it really is a puzzling case. The sheriff's office telling me tonight they want to locate her as quickly as possible. Melodee's mother, though, is still not cooperating with investigators. But family and the community say they refuse to give up hope of finding her.
New surveillance video out Thursday was taken October 7th. It shows one of the last times 9-year-old Melodee Buzzard was seen before authorities launched a missing persons investigation now stretching across the country.
We don't know if she's safe. We don't know where she's at. And
Melodee's paternal aunt hasn't seen her since 2021, sharing these new photos of her as a little girl and pleading with the public to help bring her home.
Like so many things that are irrelevant, like the main focus is where's Melodee.
The case, nothing short of confusing.
This whole situation has been like playing the game of Jumanji. Every day you roll the dice and it's a whole different story.
It started October 14th when Melodee's school reported her missing to Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office.
We originally started with a localized search where, the search was out of Lompoc, California. And then we learned that there was a road trip.
Investigators say security footage from October 7th shows Melodee's mom, Ashley, with her daughter, both wearing wigs and renting a Chevy Malibu before hitting the road.
And to your point, we've had ups and downs where it's been, hey, we've shortened the timeline, but we expanded the search area.
That expanded search seen here in a route investigators believe the two took, stopping in gas stations along the way, regularly swapping wigs and clothes, and even changing California plates for New York. Rancho Cucamonga now included in stops they may have made on or around October 9th, the public being asked to check security cameras.
No bit of information is going to be too small.
Melodee's Southern California community organizing searches and hoping to keep the case from going cold.
She should be playing outside with kids. She should be interacting with her cousins and her aunts and her grandma and her sister, not hiding somewhere in a wig. I mean, it's heartbreaking.
So it is important to note that the photo that you see right here, this is the one circulating from the sheriff's office. It is at least 2 years old. Melodee, as you saw in the surveillance footage, likely looks very different today, taller, weighing about 60 pounds. If you have any information, you are being asked to reach out to Santa Barbara authorities. At this point, Melodee's mom has not been arrested, but she has also not been helping in the search for her daughter.
Not arrested, not helping, not caring, or not even leading the police to know where the daughter is. 9 years old. Forced to wear wigs. Now she's changed, doing like some FBI hiding stuff. Changing license plates. But the FBI is working to find her. Tracking her locations. Hopefully they get some answers soon, but like they said, she has not been arrested yet. And she's not helping with the investigation. She obviously doesn't want the child to be found. It's a lot of questions, but hopefully we'll get some answers. But we will keep up to date on all that's happening. Absolutely crazy, y'all. Absolutely crazy. Now, let me know your thoughts on that whole situation. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. It's a crazy world we live in, y'all. It's a crazy world we live in. But we're going to pivot. We got one more thing to cover today before the end of the show. It looks like a teacher was just awarded by the jury $10 million after being shot by a 6-year-old student. Yes, I said it, a 6-year-old student. We got 3 videos to look at, so let's get over into it and see what we can find out about this situation. It's a crazy world. 6 years old and shoots his teacher. I don't know what's happening, but let's find out what's happening. Let's find out what we can learn from this situation and see if we can make any sense of this. But let's get into it.
Breaking news, a jury in Virginia rules in favor of Abigail Zwerner, that former Virginia teacher shot by a 6-year-old student in school. Zwerner is now awarded $10 million in damages after she sued her former school administrator, alleging she ignored repeated warnings about that student and failed to act after several staff members even told her that student had a gun in his backpack. Justice Department reporter Jack Dade, also our legal contributor, Bernard Villalona, join me now for more. So, Jack, let's just start by how we got here.
Well, we have to go back to January 2023 when this incident occurred. The people at the school, students, had related, and eventually to Ebony Parker, who's the assistant principal at the school, that this student was believed to have had a gun. Ebony Parker, the assistant principal, the jury found, failed to act in a manner that possibly could have prevented the shooting from occurring. This 6-year-old drew a gun and shot Abigail Zwerner, the teacher. in the wrist and the stomach and in the abdomen. And now the jury has rendered its verdict. She'll be awarded $10 million for that incident for the assistant principal failure to act in this matter.
So, Bernarda, the plaintiff initially asked for $40 million. She was awarded $10 million. Why do you think it turned out this way?
Well, I think it turned out this way because the jury also saw that she actually is not the person that pulled the trigger, but that a student actually pulled the trigger. I think she would have been awarded a lot more money if that was the case, that she actually pulled the trigger. But the reality is that she enabled this to actually happen because the buck stopped with her and she failed to investigate. So that's why this jury was able to come back so quickly and finding against the supervisor and for the victim in this case, because her negligence led to this disaster. And thankfully, she did not die.
Sure. All right, Jack, Bernarda, thank you so much for...
Oh, that is absolutely crazy. So you mean to tell me you get several reports that a 6-year-old has a gun, you don't do anything? You get several reports saying that the child is a danger to himself and others, you don't do anything? She got to be charged. Not just, you don't just need monetary, she got to face some charges. Absolutely crazy. Let's get over into this next video and see what else we can learn.
A Virginia jury is now deliberating the case of former teacher Abby Zwerner, who was shot during class by her 6-year-old student back in 2023. Zwerner is suing Newport News Schools for $40 million. Her lawyers argue the assistant principal at the time, Ebony Parker, failed to act after being told multiple times that the boy had a gun.
Dr. Parker sat on her hands. At 12:21 p.m., if Dr. Parker was doing her job, she would have walked into that room, grabbed that book bag, and none of these questions would have ever been asked ever again.
100%.
Zwerner's lawyers also claim Parker denied requests from teachers to search the boy's pockets for a weapon. Parker's lawyers insist she acted cautiously and wanted to wait for the boy's mother before searching him. They also argue if the teachers thought the threat was so serious, they could have called 911. The defense also pointing to the low likelihood of a 6-year-old bringing a gun to school.
Come on now. Come on. Now, I know at least I thought, is that if you even get an inkling of someone's holding a gun, you get the resource officer and they will check the bag. There's no waiting for the parents, anything like that. Come on now. The resource officer, the officer who's at the school or supposed to be at the school, it will check the bag. Because you can't just go someone had a gun and just let that go by. No, what you mean you just let it go by? But let's keep going. Let's keep going.
It was a tragedy that until that day was unprecedented, it was unthinkable, and it was unforeseeable. And I ask that you please not compound that tragedy by blaming Dr. Parker for it.
Earlier in the trial, Zwerner testified about the moments a bullet traveled through her hand, then into her chest.
I thought I had died. I thought I was either on my way to heaven or in heaven.
She says she needed multiple surgeries and now struggles with depression. The former assistant principal soon faces a separate criminal trial.
There we go. That's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear that she gets some kind of criminal charge. So let's get over into this next video where we hear about from the lawyer that represented the teacher. So let's get over into it.
Abigail Zwerner is not speaking publicly tonight, but her lawyers are. Joining us now are attorneys Diane Toscano and Jeffrey Bray. Thank you so much for making time for us today. I know it's been a busy day. We appreciate you.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Of course. Jeffrey, I will start with you. First, how is your client doing? How is Abby doing tonight?
She's with her family. She's happy. She's relieved. She's relaxed. A lot of pressure over a lot of months. And so just to have this done and have it done well, I think she's very, very happy to be with her sister and her mother and the rest of her family.
You know, after hearing that testimony, that's absolutely what she deserves. Diane, you said today you're very happy with the verdict, but you were originally seeking $40 million in damages. Does $10 million, is that sufficient for all the pain that Abigail is enduring and will continue to throughout her life?
And that's a great question. Right now, we are still dealing with post-trial motions after the jury verdict. So we do come back in front of the judge who will then issue a judgment for that verdict. So at this time, I'm not going to get into a lot about the amount that was awarded, but I can tell you Abby was so glad to be able to get this before a jury, to get this trial heard, and we were very happy with the verdict coming back in her favor.
And Jeffrey, it took a long time to get here. Your team has been waiting for justice. This shooting happened 2 years ago. Do you have any concerns that the ex-assistant principal could appeal the decision that was made today?
First of all, it's 2 years and 3/4 of another year. And I would expect an appeal. I think the school board and its lawyers and the insurance carriers have made a decision that, quite frankly, most of the people in Newport News disagree with. I thought this case would have been resolved after 2 years of litigation. It was not. And so if there is an appeal, I think the law is on our side. The judge thought the law was on our side. That's why we're here in a jury trial for damages. And so I'm not going to be worrying about what they do on appeal. They do what they need to do, but we'll be ready to arm ourselves to get ready to fight the fight.
Absolutely crazy. You know, I'm not going to stop it too much, but I would like to know. I'm happy that she was awarded everything, but I want to know how much the lawyers got. So she got, if they give her $10 million, how much does the lawyers get? Lawyers fees for 2 years? They might get half, but I'm just saying something. I don't know how much the lawyer's fee would actually be, but it's going to be significant. It's going to be significant. Let's keep going.
I want to go back to something you said before, that this was the first televised civil case, at least that you know of. Why was that important to do, and what kind of precedent do you hope it makes going forward?
Well, first of all, we were talking about Virginia and the televised cases. And I just think the significance of this shooting in a school where teachers, children, other people around the school were all at risk. And I think the significance is the fact that we need to make school security the most important thing we can do for our children and our teachers. And I think this judgment today from this jury tells administrators across the country, make safety the most important thing in our school so that kids can get an education and teachers can be safe.
Yeah, I've been following this case and what's been going on in the courtroom, and that's exactly what you two were displaying there to the jury. Diane, the criminal case against the ex-assistant principal, that's set to begin later this month. How do you hope this verdict will go into that case or will lead into that case?
I'm not weighing in on that case. That's something that the prosecutors and the criminal defense attorney are going to handle. I will tell you, Abby is a witness in the case, so we will be there one of those days. She'll be testifying as a witness, but she's not the actual victim of that case. So I'm not going to weigh in on what happens and what should happen in that criminal case. I'm focused on the fact that we took this case to trial for Abby, her civil lawsuit, and we got a verdict in her favor, and we're very happy about that.
Fair enough. Jeffrey, the civil case focused a lot on Zwerner's mental anguish, her physical pain. We heard it in that testimony. You said a lot of this was foreseeable. How should schools learn from this incident with your client?
Well, first of all, I think school security, whether it's an individual shooting event like this one or the mass shooting events, which have done so much damage to our country, this needs to be a focus. Teachers need to be able to come to school. Students need to be able to go to school, and parents need to understand that we're getting an education and we're not going to worry about our children in a school atmosphere. So administrators around the country now need to understand they can be and will be held accountable, and that's what this jury told them. And so the responsibility falls with them. This verdict from this jury told everybody in the country, let's make safety first and get back to doing what we do in the schools, which is teach the children in a safe environment.
100% correct. The administration has to be held accountable. How are you telling me that that you get multiple reports that a child is holding a gun and you do nothing? You were the administration. You talking about if they really felt scared, they should have called the police. No. If someone tells you they're holding a gun, call the resource officer, do your job, and go search the bag. What do you mean? It's unlikely a 6-year-old. It don't matter if it's unlikely. Kids are growing up faster and faster, more violent and violent. Okay, they might not. So the 6-year-old might not even know what it was. It's possible because I've heard of cases where kids bring knives just to show them off. They weren't planning to do anything, but this kid obviously shot someone. He knew what the gun was. He knew how to use it, and there was multiple reports telling you that the kid had a gun, and you sit on your butt and do nothing. You got to be held responsible. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have to. Let's keep going.
Diane, there's also an interesting twist that if the assistant principal is found guilty in the criminal trial, insurance may have a case to get out of paying Zwerner the $10 million in the civil case that was decided today. Do you have any concerns about that?
I really don't. We don't feel that that is a real concern. They've been fighting us at every turn about this case, and we're confident that we're going to be able to get a judgment against the insurance company.
I asked your partner the same thing, but what do you hope this case, what kind of precedent do you hope this case sets?
I hope that the schools across the nation are on notice that we have to take any type of threat serious. If there's
100%.
a concern that there's a possibility that there's a gun on campus, then we need to investigate it and get to the very bottom of it. And I hope that this case sends that message so that all of our teachers, all of our students are protected in school. It's a shame. There are school shootings that can't be prevented. Nobody knows in advance. So when you have a case like this, where those facts are there, the concerns are there, and nothing's done, it's just unacceptable. And hopefully all the administrators, all the schools now understand that something will be done.
Well, we are certainly thinking of Abby tonight. I remember this case from 2 years ago, and it really is just very eerie, and I'm glad it worked out for her. Diane Toscano and Jeffrey Brait, thank you so much.
Absolutely crazy, y'all. Absolutely crazy. Luckily, I'm happy the jury awarded her some money. I want to see what happens with the criminal case, so I will keep up with that. What kind of charges are they going to file against her? But sitting on your ass, sitting on your butt, and not doing something when when multiple people come to you and say, "Oh, there is a 6-year-old has a gun," and then you just sit on your butt. You got to be charged. You got to be charged. The school has to be charged for it. Now we'll see if she actually gets paid. Hope the lawyers are confident that they're going to get some money for it. But teachers are what raise the children, show them guidance, teach them. That the teachers are a great part, or an important part of the youth of just going through life. So we have to protect them. They already don't get paid too much. Now they got to worry about getting shot by 6-year-olds. And we're not going to get what the 6-year-old look like. But think about what you will. But absolutely crazy. I would like to know where he got the gun from. Is it his parents' gun? And will the parents be charged because he had a gun? There's still a lot of questions, but we will keep up with this and see what kind of criminal charges she get. Absolutely crazy, y'all. Let me know your thoughts on that whole situation. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. It's a crazy world we live in, but we got to keep reviewing the world together. We have to keep reviewing the world together. Now, that is the end of the show today. We went over a lot of crazy things. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Remember, if you have anything you want me to review, please send it over to my email, acreviewstheworld@gmail.com. It's a dot after the A and a dot after the C. Now, I have been debating, probably in a few weeks, I might start recording or live streaming every single day. There's a lot of news going on, a lot of things that I want to be up to date on. So I might start live streaming, might be around 6 or 7 that I do a live stream, maybe an hour, go over 4 different topics. That's what I'm playing over in my mind, seeing how I'm going to do it. But that is what I'm thinking. That way I can be up to date on everything and we can get everything as soon as it happens. As soon as we can. Because there's a lot of things and there's not enough time to talk about. But I will let y'all know that it'll be in a few weeks. Most likely maybe end of November, starting of December. But absolutely crazy, y'all. Let me know your thoughts on anything we talk about. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said, but that is it. That is it for the show. Thank you for watching now. Thank you for watching later. It's a crazy world we live in, y'all, but we got to review the world together. We have to review the world together. You already know these videos will be broken down, and you already know the ending. I got to play the outro. That's it for today. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning. Peace.